Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly, joined by Akeem Balaam. Game 4 of the NBA Finals, and the Miami Heat come back after getting throttled by 36 points in Game 3, and they get a 109-93 victory to send this series to a Game 5 tied at 2-2. And Akeem, a lot of the things that we said needed to happen coming into this game, LeBron James being more aggressive, those type of things happened. And while LeBron James had 33 points, definitely not trying to take away from what he did, I think Dwayne Wade was the star of the night.
Oh, yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Like you said, when we were doing the game recap after that Game 3 blowout from San Antonio, we were saying that LeBron had to put up 30 or 40 points, and he had 33 on 15 or 25 shooting in addition to 11 rebounds. But this was all about Dwayne Wade tonight. He looked like the Dwayne Wade that we saw back in 2006 when he was still on the Miami Heat and they beat the Dallas Mavericks that year back in 2006 when everybody was calling him Flash. He had 32 points tonight, played 40 minutes, 14 to 25 shooting. It was all about D. Wade tonight. He was really the star of the game for the Miami Heat. Unbelievable performance from Wade.
There's no doubt about it. And the sickest play of this game was the Dwayne Wade steal, Euro step, jump stop, and dunk. That was a ridiculous play of Dwayne Wade. And the bottom line, though, is that this game, the Spurs got out to a 15-5 lead. LeBron didn't do a ton early. Wade did. Gary Neal came in and hit a 3, Danny Green hit a 3, and Tony Parker was balling. And it looked like it had the feeling to me early on, before the Heat called that timeout, that the Spurs were going to run away with this, and that was pretty much going to be all she wrote for this NBA Finals. And that was not the case, because while Tony Parker had 11 points early on, he didn't have a single point in the second half. He finishes with 15 on this game, and he looked extremely tired after the third quarter, and you have to wonder how much that hamstring injury is really tampering with him.
It looked like that hamstring injury in the first half, it looked like that perhaps it didn't affect him because he did have those 15 points. But like I said, nothing in the second half for Tony Parker. You got to wonder what was going on with him. Maybe he tweaked it or something else happened. And really, a lot of times for the San Antonio Spurs in this Game 4, it looked like that when he was scoring, it looked like that he was energizing the rest of the team, because at one point the Miami Heat were getting out to a run in that second half, or not second half, but rather in that second quarter, and it looked like they were going to be up by a big lead. But then Tony Parker, he comes in, he gives them a lot of energy, and then they're able to come back. They tie it up at halftime. It was 49-49 at halftime, and that's when Tony Parker had those 15 points, which is of course what he wound up finishing with for this game. But nothing in the second half, and ultimately the Miami Heat they just blew out San Antonio. And Tony Parker, you got to wonder about that injury.
Yeah, and at halftime, with how well Tony Parker was playing, it really felt like LeBron and Wade balled in the first half, and I wondered, they played this well, and then this game is still tied at half. I felt like the Spurs were going to go get it done in the second half. That did not happen. Obviously, the Heat get the 109-93 win today, and it's not even just that Tony Parker wasn't effective in the second half. It's that they don't have another option. Corey Joseph was not a good enough point guard behind him. And then when you put the ball in Manu Ginobili's hands, he was just awful tonight. He had 5 points in garbage time late in this game with under 5 minutes when it was a blowout and pretty much everyone was off the court. But I think for the most part he had a pretty bad shooting night once again tonight. And that's something that if the Spurs are going to win this series, they need to get him going. And they need to stop turning the ball over today, because one of the things that allowed LeBron James to get to the hoop and Dwayne Wade in a sense was the fact that they were able to get out in transition and run, which is something that they haven't been able to do. You didn't see LeBron attack a ton in the half-court offense unless he was in the post. You saw him attack when he had either numbers or when he felt like he could get to the rim, and that is in transition when people aren't set up. If he can continue to force those turnovers, then the series goes in their favor. And I think if they cannot continue to force those turnovers, which is kind of what I feel like that Greg Popovich will help this team to make an adjustment, then it still feels like the Spurs series to lose.
It kind of feels that way to me, too. I picked the San Antonio Spurs to win this in 7, which means that if they're going to win this, they're going to have to win this in Miami. And, of course, we're now guaranteed to go back to Miami with it being in Game 6. But like you said, the Miami Heat, they were able to get out in transition tonight. And when you're able to get Dwayne Wade and LeBron James out in transition, it does not mean good things for their opponents. And Greg Popovich, I'm pretty sure that they're going to they are going to have to make some kind of adjustment to make sure that that doesn't happen in Game 5, as well as Game 6. But like I said, going back to Manu Ginobili, I mean, he had a pretty good game in that blowout Game 3, but for the most part, not only this series, but also this playoffs, what has happened to him? I mean, he played 25 minutes, 5 points. I mean, I understand he's been banged up. He's a little bit long in the tooth, as they say, but only 5 points from him, and they expect so much more from him. I mean, what has happened to Manu Ginobili? I mean, I know that there's a lot of talk about his future. Is he going to retire? What's going on with him? But outside of that Game 3, he has not showed up this NBA Finals. Disappointing performance from Manu.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And Chris Bosh tonight also gave a pretty solid performance. Bosh tonight had 20 points, 13 rebounds, even 2 offensive rebounds, an assist, and 2 blocks. In those blocks, which LeBron had 2 of, Wade had 1 of, and another one should have been a block, but it was called a foul. And then Chris Bosh had 2. Those were another thing that allowed them to get into transition. While Dwayne Wade had the 6 steals tonight, LeBron and Bosh both had 2. The blocks allowed them to get into transition. It wasn't just that they were outrunning the Spurs. It was that they were making plays that were catching the Spurs off guard. They were coming out of nowhere. LeBron had that big block. So I think that they need to continue to make those type of plays if they are going to win this series. And the thing that truly needs to continue happening, Dwayne Wade played like Flash tonight, as Akeem said earlier in this video. That's how he really played. But I think that the bottom line is to expect 32 from Dwayne Wade in this series probably is not realistic. I think what they need to do is they do need to give LeBron his time on the bench. They need to give Wade his minutes to be the guy on the court, because when he was the guy on the court, he was effective when he was the number 1 guy. And then when LeBron comes back in, Wade knows that he got his and is more willing to move the ball and let LeBron get his, let LeBron have his time with the ball. And I think that that's valuable because you keep both guys happy and you have a very good chance to win the game. And I think when it comes down to it, I still think that they need to have the ball in LeBron James' hands, but man, was Dwayne Wade impressive tonight.
Yeah, exactly. If they're able to get these kind of performances for the rest of this series from LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, then the Miami Heat are going to be your NBA champion for the second consecutive year again. Great performances, unbelievable performances from both LeBron and Wade tonight. And like I say, 8 for 14 shooting for Chris Bosh. He had 20 points. He's been much maligned, but this series, I mean, even he had that monster dunk at the end of the first half, which wound up not counting, and the score was 49-49 at halftime. But even we've been calling for Chris Bosh to play a little bit more like an interior big man, and it looked like that he was doing a little bit of that tonight. He still was able to hit 15-foot jump shots, but we've been expecting Chris Bosh for the longest time to play more like an interior center, and he did some of that tonight. And going back to what you were talking about earlier with the blocks, lots of block shots tonight. I mean, and it wasn't just Thiago's Twitter. I mean, everybody on Twitter and everybody all over the internet is all over Thiago's Twitter, for the fact that he was blocked again. And of course, everybody still remembers that block from LeBron James, but in a few games earlier. But it wasn't just him that got blocked. It was a lot of interior blocking from the Miami Heat tonight. I mean, LeBron, Wade, Battier, it was a lot of stuff going on interior for the Miami Heat as far as defense, and like I said earlier, it was able to get the Miami Heat into transition. So impressive, I would say not only that, but also impressive defensive performance in the paint for the Miami Heat tonight, not allowing the San Antonio Spurs to get easy buckets inside.
Yeah, and there's no question about it. I think after this game, the momentum appears to have shifted back in the Heat's favor, but there hasn't been a ton of game-to-game momentum in this series, so we'll see what happens Game 5. The interesting thing now is a game ago we were talking about, is LeBron James choking? Now we're heading over to, is LeBron or Dwayne Wade the Finals MVP? So it's crazy how it is in the sports world. And what else was crazy was how LeBron James and Dwayne Wade dressed prior to this game. Dwayne Wade shows up in white jeans carrying a red, it's a purse, there's no other way to put it, a white shirt and like a black woman-looking suit with these black shoes. I don't even know what they were, no socks. It's Miami, man. I guess you can get away with that. And then LeBron James comes in wearing this camo vest with a black muscle shirt underneath, looking like Jay-Z from a late 90s rap video. Whatever works, man. They got the wins today, so if that's what they need to get the wins, it's Miami, and you can get away with a lot of stuff down there, I guess.
It helped. I mean, I thought Commissioner Stern for some reason enforced the dress code, which by the way I did not like, by the way. But it could have been worse. It could have been Russell Westbrook in the Oklahoma City Thunder. We all know the crazy stuff he and Durant wear to those press conferences.
Yeah, and that was funny as well. This is just like, I've seen Dwayne Wade and LeBron James carry a purse too many times, but the bottom line is that they carried the Miami Heat to a Game 4 victory in the NBA Finals. That's what we're here for. That's what matters. Series tied 2-2 with the last game in San Antonio. Will be Game 5. We'll be here to cover that. We'll be here to cover every NBA Finals game and every other sporting event in the country and some beyond that. So subscribe to The Real Sports Talk, section215.com, facebook.com/The Real Sports Talk, at CashKelly_TRST, KASH Kelly_TRST, and at LI495 Akeem on Twitter. We'll catch you guys next time.